massive body washes ashore. A 4.9-meter female great white shark, lifeless. But something is off. No big bite marks, no signs of a struggle, and just a missing liver, cut right from its underbelly with surgical precision. Strangely enough, she wasn't the last great white to wash ashore in South Africa. Between February and June of 2017, 5 great white sharks drifted along the shores of Gansbaai, some as long as 15 feet. 4 were missing their livers, 1 had its heart torn out. Experts were baffled. The cuts were too precise, too clean. This wasn't the work of scavengers or random attacks. Something was hunting the ocean's top predator. But what? Who could overpower these fully grown great whites, only to take one organ and leave the rest of the body behind? How could the ocean's top predator be reduced to such a state so quickly? Is it possible there is a creature so cunning and so powerful that even the great white becomes the prey? The great white shark, Carcharodon carchareus, is supposed to sit at the very top of the ocean's food chain. Reaching lengths of over 20 feet and weighing more than 2,000 kilograms, they have serrated teeth, explosive speed, and a highly developed, keen sense of smell. In most marine ecosystems, the great white is seen as the undisputed apex predator. They are engineered for survival, and yet what makes the Gansbaai event so unusual is the lack of evidence pointing to a struggle, as if the sharks stood no chance against the enemy. No defensive wounds, no violent bite patterns, just the liver part missing, which does give a clue to who the attacker could be. The liver in great whites is no ordinary organ. It can account for up to 25% of the shark's total body weight and is rich in lipids, primarily squalene, a highly energy-dense compound. So whoever attacked these sharks did it to eat their nutrient-loaded livers. This precision and the singular focus on such a specific organ suggested intent. And keep in mind that these deaths weren't just happening anywhere. They were unfolding off the shores of Gansbaai, widely known as the Great White Capital of the world. It's a coastal town located in the Western Cape province of South Africa. The waters surrounding Gansbaai are hotspots of marine life. The nearby Diet Island ecosystem has a thriving seal population, one of the favorite snacks of great whites. The abundance of food combined with favorable water temperatures has historically made this region a prime hunting ground for these sharks, and something was dismembering these predators within their stronghold. In the days following the strandings of 2017, people suspected everything from illegal human poachers to unknown deep-sea predators, but marine scientists were almost sure of one possibility: orca predation attacks. Ursinus orca, lovingly known as killer whales because, as the name suggests, they can hunt and take down whales, are highly intelligent social predators. Though technically part of the dolphin family, their hunting skills and cooperative behaviors rival those of wolves or lions. Only that a group of orcas is called a pod, so they hunt in pods wherein people have observed them preying, playing, and humiliating their victims, from fish to seals to whales. But orcas don't just hunt for survival, they strategize. For example, in Patagonia, orcas have been seen intentionally beaching themselves to catch seals from the shoreline. They then wiggle back into deep waters. In the North Pacific, transient orcas are known for ambushing gray whale calves, separating them from their mothers before delivering coordinated attacks. After hours of this foul play, the calves usually end up in their jaws. Perhaps most chilling is their reputation among other apex predators. In several documented cases around California's Farallon Islands, orcas have been observed preying on great white sharks. One of the most well-known incidents occurred in 1997, when a lone female orca was filmed hunting a great white, holding it upside down to induce tonic immobility. This technique paralyzed the shark and helped the orca extract its liver before leaving the carcass. More recently, orcas off the coast of New Zealand have exhibited similar behavior, specifically targeting seven-gill and mako sharks. Scientists noted the same liver-focused pattern: a quick and precise kill, followed by removal of the fatty, nutrient-dense organ. Orcas have even been linked to predation on sperm whales, among the largest animals on Earth. While adult sperm whales can often fend off orcas by forming protective circles, calves and injured individuals are vulnerable to coordinated orca attacks. In these hunts, orcas demonstrate teamwork, taking turns harassing and tiring their prey before delivering fatal blows. Across the globe, from the cold waters of the Arctic to temperate coastal regions, orcas have proven themselves to be highly adaptive, intelligent, and, when necessary, ruthless. But in South Africa, this behavior had never been so brazen, so targeted. As the dead sharks piled up in Gansbaai, the evidence pointed to the unsettling possibility that a pair of orcas had honed in on great whites, not by chance, but by choice. Forensic analysis of the 20 shark carcasses revealed faint bruising, consistent with the rake marks of orca teeth, parallel lines left by conical teeth. Yet, the bruises were subtle, suggesting that the sharks may have been subdued before being taken care of by the orcas. Further examination confirmed that the sharks' livers had been extracted through a narrow opening torn along the belly. But what made the Gansbaai case so unusual was the scale and consistency of the attacks. I mean, taking down 20 sharks? That's something. Because of high great white concentration, Gansbaai called tourists and researchers from all around the globe. For years, Gansbaai had been a reliable hotspot for these apex predators, but now cage diving operators were finding their shark tours empty. It was as if the great whites had vanished, and marine biologists knew orcas could be the reason why. Killer whales have been documented to displace great whites, causing them to temporarily abandon key hunting grounds. All of this suggested that a specific set of orcas with a learned behavior were systematically preying on these sharks. It was no longer a theory. The pattern was becoming clearer and clearer. All evidence pointed to the possibility that an orca was after all of this, and it turned out to be right. Well, half right, because there were actually 2 orcas involved, actively hunting great whites in the waters of Gansbaai. In late 2017, locals and researchers began reporting sightings of 2 distinctive male orcas patrolling the waters of Gansbaai. Both were large, powerful individuals, but one feature stood out: their dorsal fins. The first orca, nicknamed Port, had a collapsed dorsal fin that leaned to the left, resembling the tilt of a ship listing to port side. His partner, Starboard, had a dorsal fin curving to the right, like a ship listing to starboard. The names stuck. Both of them were known to roam the waters of South Africa, but over time they developed a chilling reputation. These 2 males were not part of a larger pod. Instead, they traveled together as a highly efficient pair. Unlike typical orcas that hunt in family groups, Port and Starboard operated as a duo. What made them notorious wasn't just their distinctive fins, but their specialized hunting method. Evidence collected from the shark carcasses aligned perfectly with hunting techniques that only a few orcas in the world are known to use. Port and Starboard appeared to have mastered the art of incapacitating great whites. How? As I said earlier, orcas are highly intelligent and adaptable hunters. In this case, researchers believe that Port and Starboard learned how to flip great whites onto their backs, a move that tricks sharks into a state called tonic immobility. This is a kind of temporary paralysis that leaves them defenseless. Once immobilized, the orcas could focus on the liver, tearing it free with almost uncanny precision. Forensic studies confirmed this hypothesis. In all 5 shark strandings from 2017 and the rest that followed, the livers were removed through clean openings. Turns out, the pair of them had developed a liking for the fat-rich liver parts of sharks, hunting 22,000 pounds of beasts just to eat 20 pounds of liver. Well, sometimes the heart too, but who's counting? And the rest of the shark? It was left to float, rot, or get picked apart by scavengers for all the other orcas. The behavior of Port and Starboard echoed that of orca populations elsewhere, but this was the first time it had been documented so clearly and repeatedly. What followed was a chilling revelation for researchers. This wasn't random predation, it was learned behavior, and it was spreading fear. With each attack, Port and Starboard were reshaping the balance of power along the South African coast, and the great whites, sensing the shift, were starting to disappear. By late 2017, cage diving operators who had long relied on consistent shark activity for ecotourism were reporting a sharp and unprecedented decline in sightings. Trips that previously guaranteed close encounters with great whites were now returning empty-handed. Between 2017 and 2019, the absence of these apex predators became even more evident. Sightings that once numbered in the dozens per season dropped to nearly zero in certain periods. Entire months would pass without a single recorded appearance. It wasn't just a tourism concern. The sudden drop in great white shark numbers set off a ripple effect through the local ecosystem. With the great whites gone, Cape fur seals, one of their primary prey species, experienced a noticeable population surge. At first glance, this might seem like a positive outcome for the seals, but in nature, imbalance often creates unforeseen consequences. The rising seal numbers led to increased predation on other marine life, including species like African penguins, which were already vulnerable. The absence of great whites had removed a key regulator from the ecosystem, allowing prey species to expand unchecked. For marine biologists, the situation around Ransby became a real-time study in how the removal of a single apex predator can send shockwaves through a food web. But what about port and starboard? The two orcas continued their predation well beyond 2017, with additional shark carcasses found in subsequent years, all showing the same telltale signs: missing livers, clean incisions, and little evidence of prolonged struggle. Researchers began suspecting that other orcas in the region could be learning from the pair. Orcas are known for their cultural transmission of hunting techniques, passing skills from one generation to the next. The situation presented a complex dilemma. On the one hand, orcas like port and starboard were simply adapting, exploiting a high-reward food source with remarkable efficiency. On the other hand, the rapid disappearance of great whites from one of their strongholds was an ecological red flag. Efforts to track port and starboard continue to this day. Their movements are unpredictable, covering vast distances along the South African coastline. And while sightings of great whites have slowly begun to recover in certain areas, the long-term implications of these predation events remain under close study. For now, one fact is clear: the hunters had become the hunted. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know. I read every comment, and your support means more than you might think.